back to the Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. Sitting here this morning. Wanted to talk about something last night, but I was getting kind of tired. Man, this is a squeaky chair. And I'm like, you know what, I'll do it in the morning. I kind of woke up early this morning, but something that I saw, and I want to talk about it because it's been on my mind now for about a week. But you guys know the last couple of videos have been pretty kind of serious talk and stuff, but it's definitely something that we do have to talk about, and these questions come up. And if you have ever been out there in the battlefield and talked to people that are really good people inside, but they have a disdain towards Christians, you can understand why, what they have dealt with, or the fake ones out there. And it really is, it's like what a rhino is, not the animal, but a Republican in name only. You put on a face that you're Republican, but secretly are doing Democratic deeds. There's what you could call it would be just it would be the same thing, but it would start with a C. It'd be Christians in name only. That's exactly what it is. And the deception is strong. It is all over the place out there, and it has to be talked about. But we also have to guard ourselves and look where we're going at the same time. I mean, it's a total realistic thing. When it comes to shining your light, you want to tell an 85-year-old grandma to hit the pavement and start getting out there, Her kindness in the spiritual realm could be shining plenty of light compared to the next door neighbor that is doing the same thing, and in the spiritual realm would be just pure darkness. Nothing's being shined at all. It really does come down to the heart and where you are in your love for Jesus, because there are periods of times when you're not doing anything, you're just staying close with him, but that's exactly where he wants you. So it really does come down to the heart, but it is conscious stuff to pay attention to, and of course this stuff has to be talked about, but they are difficult subjects. They are. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about something that I saw. And you guys have known where I stand with the whole Trump administration and things like that. I'm always happy if somebody's doing the right thing. But am I putting my hope in it at all? No, definitely not. We are in the end times, undoubtedly, totally 100%. There are more prophecies and things taking place than ever before. We have timetables with people that are alive that look like the false prophet and things that stay alive to the end of the tribulation. For these reasons, things need to be taking place fast, and they are. They are taking place fast. Maybe not as fast as that we want, because we want to get out of here and want to go home to be with Jesus, but they are taking place nonetheless. So in this whole picture, and this is why I'm saying this, would we expect things to all of a sudden get better worldwide and everything's just going to go into kumbaya status, basically, where we all come together, and it'll be great for some years, pushing the whole thing off and then coming back, when we know that it's set on a timetable, God's timetable, and it's in a 7,000-year plan, 1,000 years being the 1,000-year reign with Jesus when we're on earth. So 6,000-year plan, basically, and we're up there to that line. It takes place exactly. This is in God's hands, so we don't know that. But would we expect those things? And the answer is no. It's not getting better. It's progressively getting worse, fast, real fast, and we're in some very dark times, and things are still coming down while what's being portrayed is it's getting better and stuff, and it's not getting better at all. It's just distractions, and it's to buy time and things like that. So you guys know in 2016 I was praying for Trump to get in, and this totally kept me off the Trump train. Right in the middle of the prayer, praying for Trump, and I was being honest about it with God, like, is my vote going to matter? I don't want it to be switched because I don't want it to be used for Hillary Clinton. But if there's enough votes, can he win, right? Which is what people think has happened. That there was just enough, it was over-flooded, and even though the system was rigged with Hillary, he beat the system, right? This is what they want us to think anyways, okay? So people have got this. Well, we've had this hope with the QAnon thing, which is no hope at all. I think it's been a psyop the whole time, coming from the inside, to buy more time, just keep waiting, as time progresses and nothing gets done. Okay, so we've watched this take place, and I've seen different things that are puzzle pieces to this picture without really putting it together. And I think that I might have one of the last pieces here on the table with what I saw the last week, and I'm gonna talk about it right now. But I'm just pointing out different puzzle pieces and things like that. One of the things that got brought up in the election, and I said before, I for some reason have a difficulty reading Trump, but Hillary Clinton during the election when she's like, she wanted to be, she's like, what's a good thing you're not in charge of the police force or whatever. He's like, if I was, you would be in jail. I could see Trump there at that time, but not like I could see Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was giving him that. And this gets down into something that we call shill. All right? You guys, if you guys don't know what that is, I have the definition that I want to read right here. No, I don't want to donate. Okay. A shill, also called a plant or a stooge, is a person who publicly helps or gives credibility to a person or organization without disclosing that they have a close relationship with the person or organization. Shills can carry out their operations in areas of media, journalism, marketing, politics, confidence games, or other business areas. A shill may also act to discredit opponents or critics of a person or organization in which they have a vested interest through character assassinations and other means. All right? In most uses, shill refers to someone who purposely gives onlookers, participant marks or impression of enthusiastic customers, independent or telemarketer, con artists for whom they are secretly working. Okay? All right, now that's just part of the definition. All right? And I have to get that out just in case you didn't know what it was. All right, but this can get even more interesting because the best shills are sometimes the ones that don't know they're being used as a shill. Let me give you an example. Linda Moulton Howe puts out information that she thinks secret from the Pentagon, right, about aliens, that she gets out and gives to the public. That's supposed to be an inside scoop. She's not trying to trick the public. She thinks that they're giving the inside scoop. Well, we'll tell you this one thing, but don't talk about it. But then she talks about it. Here's where it gets tricky. They knew she would talk about it, so the information they gave her was false to push what she's going to say into an agenda, right? The agenda being to, for instance, with the alien thing, push that they're alien races, they're out there, they're coming to help, blah, 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 or whatever other thing that there might be. To push that in that we've been planted here on Earth and away from the biblical narrative. Because people will sometimes bite more if they think it's a secret without knowing, all right? So the best shills a lot of the time can be the ones that don't even know that they are shills, all right? And then you can have double shills where two people are getting used against each other thinking they're both on the inside only to get Star Wars style where the Emperor betrays them. And we see that a lot, especially with the dark elites and those that are Satanists, because Satan is, it's one of his favorite things because it's one of the most evil things there possibly could be, which is betrayal, right? So could Trump be an unknown shill? Possibly. Could we have a double shill situation with Hillary and Trump? Possibly too. Or maybe they both know the whole thing and the whole thing's staged as well. All right, these are things to think about. Okay, but something that happened during the election when it was going on was the pedophilia stuff came out, and I want to talk about this right now. And I didn't get to back in the day because it was a pretty hot topic, and they were shutting people down and stuff like that. Now I just sound like, oh, it's already been discussed. It didn't really happen, right? So it's the perfect time to discuss it. So if you guys have ever wondered, I'm about to tell you right now. The whole pedophilia thing is absolutely real. It has been for a very long time. I knew about it before it even got brought out. It's disgusting, and it's been embedded within the whole foundation of the thing for many, many years. Okay? When they were debating and this thing got brought out, the best way to picture it, I was just talking to Dustin about this the other day, is picture two people that are friends at a party, and they start drinking, and now they're giving each other a bad time, quarreling back and forth a little bit here, but the drinks keep coming. And as they do, the blows are getting progressively worse until it comes into all-out blows and stuff's loose. Only to wake up the next day with a terrible hangover and headache and be like, dude, what were we fighting over in the first place? All right, and then trying to patch things up. This is exactly what happened with the pedophilia stuff coming out, okay? Just like the party, they're fighting back and forth, and finally the big blows come out, and the pedophilia stuff gets released onto the public, okay? And they get to see what it's like. But as soon as it does, they go into a quick shutdown, all right? Trump comes in, they end up finding some nobodies, however many, a few thousand of them out there, sleeping around with 17-year-olds and stuff like that. Nothing that doesn't take place all the time anyways, but people got in trouble for it, right? So when this happens, they close it down. Well, that's not all. The whole pizza guy and the connection with DC and all that stuff like that, right? They also get involved in that, and they try to show that there's a connection going on in DC, and this pizza place is involved. Hillary and Obama and all of them have been involved with the whole thing, right? So that guy comes on Fox News after they do that fake stage thing with the M4. The guy goes in there with a gun and says he's going to take care of him. It's like, look, this is what happens when fake news comes out. I've been a friendly family establishment the whole time, right? This is where I come in. So I wanted to take a look at this guy, right? Because this is my specialty. I'm a master vetter, right? I didn't do this from years of training. It was given to me by God. I look into people's souls, right? Just straight into the heart of the soul, of the mind. And I wanted to see what this guy was about. So I watched the Fox News thing. And it's exactly what most of you would expect. The guy is absolutely filth. He's completely filled with demons, and he's been involved with the whole thing the whole time. The whole story was totally true. Every time he opens his eyes, if you guys go back and watch the case where he's making a point and then he opens them like this, is just happens to be what him and his lawyers were going over, and it's something they wanted to get across during the whole thing, like a family establishment and different things like that. And the real sick part is the guy was the guy was just about getting off under the table in excitement that he was that close to almost being caught, in the same way that certain couples will like to do it in risky places, all right? Sort of a turn-on situation. Guy's absolute Phil, totally disgusting. The whole thing was real, okay? That's the absolute truth about it, okay? And if you've ever been curious and want to know, now you do. But this stuff got hushed up and never got brought back out, okay? Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton, Obama, and all the different things that we know, we keep getting told in the public, master arrests, indictments, and all this other stuff. Well, Mark Taylor, which I have looked into him before too, and I'll tell you guys right now, I look into Mark Taylor's soul, and what do I see? There is absolutely no spirit of prophecy, but he's not demon-possessed either. He's just a man making things up as he goes along. He said something about Trump, thought he had a gift of prophecy, and he's ran with it. And it's amazing it's gone this long because people still ask him questions, but the whole thing's totally phony. He should have backtracked right from the start. He didn't. He's bought into it, and now he's dug himself into a hole that he can't get out of. That's that with Mark Taylor, okay? But no, he's not legit at all. It's totally phony, okay? So what about the whole Trump situation? Are we going to be getting better, things getting better as guillotine blades are being bought from Mexico, as California is getting burned by laser weapons, BLM being involved, things moving forward on the front with America being totally destroyed, the northern borders being probed by China and Russian Spetsnaz and stuff like that. I mean, with judgment coming. Well, at the same time, peace deals that look like the start of the tribulation are right about to take place, okay? And the answer is no, it's all still moving in that direction. So what is really going on? And let's talk about that right now. So last week I rented the movie, I think it's Death of America or whatever. It's a new D'Souza movie, okay? He's done a couple of them before, what would happen at Obama's America and stuff like that. And this one is making comparisons between Lincoln and Trump and all this other stuff. And I don't know why I watched it, but I just did because the guy knows some stuff and it was interesting. And of course, he's on the notion that maybe America can be saved and Trump's here to help. So as I watched the movie, an important puzzle piece that I feel was revealed. In comparison to the Nazis in World War II and the different things that Lincoln had to deal with the Democratic Party, realization starts to come out and is pointed out that the Democratic Party that was back in the day also had some of the same ideas that were used by the Nazis, including euthanasia and other things like that, getting rid of the old and kids and stuff like that, actually came from, and there was actually worse ones within the Democratic Party that the Nazis decided not to use, okay? And it's making this comparison of what Lincoln had to deal with when he was fighting to end slavery and all this other stuff, right? and that's not what I'm paying attention to the movie. What I am watching is how the Nazi regime starts to form under this nationalistic socialism and stuff like that, right? And how I got a deer out the window. They're always sneaking around my house, and how it was formed and how Hitler did it and the different steps that went through it. While the movie's playing, and the left here in America now at the time is trying to compare that to Trump and what's going on. Something started to hit me. It's not being compared in that way. It is being purposely set up that way, all right? This gets in your phony Christians and other things like that, so it's a good thing that we have talked about it before, because if you put real ones around a situation of deception like this, Holy Spirit-filled Christian is instantly going to start having discernment, going to start knowing some things that are going on, that there's forces of darkness being used, whereas fake, phony Christians that aren't, and are only Christians in name only, Paula White, Kenneth Copeland, the other ones that are hanging around the Trump, Hillsong United, hanging out with Luciferians and Satanists and stuff like that. All these fake, phony ones, which are shills in their own manner, being told to propagate the Christianity movement in the White House because things are getting better and we're under that to get more involved. And so they're being used thinking they're doing their thing, and hey, we can have both worlds, so I can hang out with Justin Bieber and the Luciferians and do this. So they're being shilled in their own way, which will ultimately be cut. They don't need them. They're being used for their purpose before they destroy them. But so are the Christians, and it's not an accident that Christians are being drawn to it, because they're doing something very diabolical and sneaky, if I'm right about what I'm talking about, and it really looks like that's what the direction that it's going. As the world and France are starting to change, and the ideas of the nationalism and the patriotism, where it's looking more towards a globalistic patriotism and nationalism of one's own country to be against, they're pulling the Nazi national or socialism, nationalism, and they're pulling the socialism part out gently while keeping the nationalism part, but still comparing it to the Nazi regime, while collecting as many Christians to follow the Trump train as humanly possible. The reason why is because they're going to flip the whole thing, and the nationalistic party with all the Christians are going to become the new Nazi party, and the Christians are going to be the SS, all right? And this is how they will do it. And they will turn and flip the whole thing. And this is why during the tribulation, Christians most likely will be hunted down, because they will basically be compared to new Nazis, and they will be the blaming for the destruction of America and what happens when you set off on your own and you're not part of the global community, all right, and the filth, all right? And this gets real interesting. See, Albert Pike's prophecy that he had, the Confederate general from back in the day, when they said how they would start World War I, and it went along according to schedule, and World War II. And then if you read his writings, what he does with World War, or what he talks about with World War III, how they use Islam and stuff like that, well, after it's done, he says that the plan is they will destroy Christianity and Islam in one foul swoop and bring in the new Luciferian agenda all at once. All right, it's like, well, that's tricky. How exactly are you gonna do this, right? While we also look at biblical prophecy and some of the other things that we know. such as the Gog and Magog attack being a part of the second seal when the tribulation starts. How in Gog and Magog, America isn't there to help, and a few other things. So when we count that in at the same time, we have a scenario here that I want to throw together, and it's very interesting. They keep pushing towards it, gathering more Christians that are deceived by money and stuff like that. Doesn't mean they're not saved at all. A lot of people just don't even know. All right, so that's one thing. That's another when you're the ones at the top that are running the show, and it's totally phony and just a show itself. All right, there's no way that Trump he is a Mason, and there's no way that he doesn't know about Jared Kushner and Lucent Technologies and 666 in in New York on the fifth thing, or how they want to do the RFID chip, or how they haven't pulled out of Obamacare. So is he a shill, an unknowing shill? No, I don't think so. I think it's part of a plan, all right? And he might be used for that plan to draw as many to it as possible. But he might be told that he's going to be safe at the same time and then killed later. It gets hard to tell him that because there's nobody they won't sacrifice for their agendas. And people, sometimes they'll go along with, thinking that they'll get pulled out, and they don't. They just get used. And this happens a lot. So on that end, I don't know. But let's run this scenario. It keeps continuing on, and right before they flip it, boom, the attack on America happens, all right? We're out of here. Tribulation starts. America gets destroyed. But America's destroyed for becoming a new Nazi regime, basically, and nationalism. And the Christians are involved, or the SS, because they're the ones that promote it. This is what they'll say, all right? So America's not going to be there to help Israel. Meanwhile, Islam comes down to try and destroy Israel, which might be a part of the plan, but either way, even if they think that they were destroy them, they would be like, shame on you for destroying Israel, we need to come against you. But that's not what's going to happen at all. God's going to step in and destroy Islam when they go down in there, and 5-6 of them be destroyed, and the rest will have their tail tucked between their legs, okay? So this still works out the same way as the Albert Pike plan. So now you've taken out the country that has had one of the biggest Christianity influences in the world, America, right? And destroyed America, which is part of the plan, because some European Union is going to take over as the lead, Russia second, China third, and America's just done. Mystery Babylon, but it was used for its purpose, right? So they take it out while attaching Christians to it at the same time and flip the whole thing over so Christians become an enemy of the world, okay? And what they're doing, because they crashed America. It was them and their party with Trump leading it, and they're like the new Nazis with nationalism, because that's the same thing, and they will compare the whole thing, all right? What has just happened? Christianity has just been removed, and Islam has just been destroyed and taken out at the same time. Exactly what the plan is the whole time, to usher in the new Luciferian thing, which we know is what happens during the tribulation. So are we buying time right now, or is this completely all a part of the agenda? And the answer is, this looks like it's all completely a part of the agenda, and I wasn't sure how they're going to do that. But when I was watching and how they're starting to compare more and more to Trump, to Nazism from the left side and stuff like that, this isn't being slipped out or an idea. This is actually the plan, and it's going along perfectly in what's done. Hillary didn't lose and blah, 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 Trump. It was part of the plan to let it go in, to create this, because this is how you get the Christians involved, and that's who they're after, right? So that you can turn them, and there's only one way to do it. You have to put them into something, into a bowl, basically, but you have to change the labeling on the bowl, all right? From good to bad. And that's what they're doing right now. They're silently changing the labeling on the bowl. And for that reason, Christians will be allowed to be hunted down and stuff like that during the tribulation. And this looks like it's exactly what it is. This is a plan so sinister and diabolical. And it might seem like it's out there, but I'm telling you, there's some real merit to this, because this looks like a direction. And we also know the timeline. Things need to be happening fast. So would it just happen overnight like that? The Antichrist and Satan don't want to waste any time. They want to kill as many as they can, definitely starting with Christians and the Jews. And that looks like exactly how the tribulation starts off. So are they wasting time right now, or are they using it exactly for what they want to, while they're doing things in the shadows and getting the final touches done? And these guys are multitasking like you wouldn't believe, all right? This is a sinister plan. And I think this is exactly what's happening, and that's what it looks like. So while people are going for it, the Trump administration and hoping that he gets rid of them and all that, that was never part of the plan anyways. They're not going anywhere. They're buying time, getting last minute things done, and switching the system around while collecting as many Christians to follow in the Trump train because he promotes them and that's what he's about, blah, 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 only to bring the whole thing crashing down and those that were associated would be guilty as charged, like rounding up Nazis afterwards for being a part of the Hitler regime, okay? This is pretty serious talk, and, this is something interesting to pay attention to and definitely think about, but I wanted to get it out there, and it definitely hit me the other night when I was watching this movie because I've been trying to put it together for a while and trying to put those pieces in on how this plays in, because I know what God said, let the dead bury the dead, when I was praying about him winning. I thought that was interesting. I know the verse. Hadn't read it in a long time. I read it, and the second part of that same verse says, but go around and preach, the word of God, which is what I was doing. So, and I didn't even know that was the second part of it. So it was interesting. I mean, he really spoke to that, to me on that. And so I have avoided it, and I've been very cautious about it the whole time and what's going on. And I know the people that he's associated around, they're not real Christians, they're phony Christians. And now that we've discussed this in the past couple of videos on what phony Christians are, you can see where I'm coming from on this. There's no real spiritual power there. They're Christians in name only. It's a shell. They're not legit. And because of that, they can do that. A sinister, diabolical plan would not work around real Christians like that. They would spot it. It would come out into the works. And the real ones that have seen some of the stuff going on there, they have stepped away from it because they do know. There's your proof right there. But the ones that don't know are all the ones that are part of it are totally phony and they're just in it for money and other gains and things like that, okay? Very interesting what's going on. And it's still on course. There is another thing, and I want to throw it out real quick, and we don't know when the rapture is going to happen. We know it's coming soon, but there is definitely a possibility that, the numbers for how long the tribulation is are very important, but there is only one thing I know that could change it, and that would be the rotation of the planet. And if that is what the fourth trumpet is about, it comes in around the 2-year mark, taking 1/3 of the light away. If that's 1/3 of the day and the night, from that time period, from around the 2-year mark, it would take about 1.5 years off the end of the tribulation. The days would still go on the same, so you'd still count them on how long it is, but the days would be shorter, all right? That would shorten it by 1.5 years. Here's why that's important. It means the tribulation and rapture could start in a winterish springtime and still end up right at the end and fulfill the fall feast days and end at the same time. I wouldn't know where that would place the abomination of desolation. That could get tricky, and nobody would be able to lock this down until after it happened, and then they would have to start calculating at that time because you would have to know exactly what day that an asteroid that big could change the rotation of the Earth, and this is only speculation, okay? But it makes it a possibility for a rapture tribulation to start in a winterish springtime event too. So it's just something I wanted to throw out there, and just real quick, something to think about. All right, guys, I just had this on my mind, and I wanted to get it out there. Comments are enabled, we're still looking at this, and it's very interesting stuff. But we're getting close, that's for sure. Jesus is about to come back. Everything's still on the table. Nothing's gone away, and it's moving towards it. But we also know that the enemy is planning some stuff. And like I say, they haven't got rid of Obamacare's RFID chip or any of that stuff. It's all still in there, and we see that moving forward quicker and quicker, okay? So be cautious about everything. Don't let down your guard. We don't have a bunch of years left. Time is running out and quickly. God bless. I'll catch you next time in the Leashing. Bye.